I never thought a simple knock at the door could dismantle everything I thought I knew about love, trust, and family. But that night, as the wind howled outside and the clock blinked 11:47 p.m., it did. I was alone, curled up in my blanket, flipping through some mindless comedy show, when the knock came, firm, slow, almost deliberate. I opened the door, and there stood Emma, my stepmother. She wore a long coat, soaked from the drizzle, her mascara slightly smudged, eyes gleaming not with tears, but something else. She looked lost, or maybe exactly where she wanted to be. "Robert, can I come in?" she asked softly. I hesitated. My throat dried up. I was 18, she was 35, married to my father for the past 3 years. But in that moment, logic fell into silence. I stepped aside, letting her in, not knowing I was letting her into more than just my room. She walked in slowly, her heels echoing on the wooden floor. She didn't say much. Just stood there, taking in the space I called mine, crumpled books, game controllers, posters, the messy blanket. And then she turned around and looked at me, not as my father's wife, but as a woman who hadn't been seen in a long time. "I couldn't sleep," she murmured, removing her coat and letting it slide down. Underneath was a silk dress that clung to her curves, thin straps barely resting on her shoulders. There was tension, unspoken but suffocating. The kind that presses into your chest, demanding a reaction. I offered her tea. She declined. I sat on the edge of my bed, unsure if I should breathe too loud. She walked around slowly, touching my bookshelf, picking up an old photo of me and my dad, then gently placing it down. "You've grown," she said, eyes locked onto mine. I couldn't tell if she meant physically or emotionally. Maybe both. That night changed the chemistry between us. Nothing happened, no touches, no kisses, but the air between us was charged with something far more dangerous than physical contact. And once that door opens, you can't unfeel it. The next few weeks were filled with moments that lingered too long. A brush of hands while passing dishes, a sideways glance when Dad wasn't watching. Her laugh, suddenly more intimate. The way she sat closer on the couch. It was all quiet, slow, seductive chaos. Then came the night she invited me to watch a movie in the living room while Dad was out on his fishing weekend. I thought nothing of it. But then she dimmed the lights, sat beside me, close enough that our arms touched, her perfume, warm vanilla and something darker, wrapping around me like a spell. Halfway through the movie, she rested her head on my shoulder. My heart was pounding so loud I was afraid she could hear it. Her fingers played with the hem of my shirt. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. And when she whispered, "This feels safe," I knew nothing would ever be safe again. The emotional entanglement began like rain on glass, soft, steady, and unnoticed at first. She began opening up, telling me about how lonely she felt. How my father had become distant. How she missed being touched, seen, needed. She said I listened better than anyone. And in her eyes, I was no longer just her stepson, I was her confidant, her secret. Then one night, during a storm that seemed to mirror the one inside me, she suggested we play truth or dare. It was innocent at first, childish questions, silly dares. But then came the real ones. "Have you ever wanted someone you shouldn't?" she asked. I stared at her. My answer was silence, and that said everything. She leaned in, fingers grazing my jaw. "Your turn," she whispered. I dared her to kiss me. I never thought she would. But she did. Slowly. Carefully. Her lips trembling as they met mine. That kiss shattered all boundaries. And once broken, boundaries don't rebuild, they bleed. We didn't stop. Nights became rituals. Silent meetings. Long hugs. Her hand resting too long on mine. One night, in the glow of the TV, her lips found my neck. The next, I traced the outline of her back with my fingers. The more we crossed, the more it felt like we belonged there. But love that grows in shadows always fears the light. And then, the silence came. She grew distant. Cold. Texts left unanswered. Her eyes avoided mine at dinner. I thought she regretted everything. But regret is a luxury for those who had choices. We never did. Our final night together came unexpectedly. Dad was away again. She came to my room in a robe, hair dripping wet, skin glowing. We didn't speak. We just moved toward each other like waves colliding. That night was different. It was slow, desperate, almost like goodbye. She cried in my arms after, whispering that she wished she had met me before. Before everything. Before the lies. Days later, my world collapsed. My phone buzzed in class. A message from an unknown number. Just one line, "You should see this." Attached was a video, a recording. My room. Me and Emma. I dropped my phone. The walls caved in. Whispers. Stares. The principal called me in. Suspension. Then, full expulsion. Friends disappeared. Teachers stopped making eye contact. The world closed its doors. Dad came home early that night. I stood in the living room, trying to explain. But before I could say a word, he slapped me. Once. Twice. Then stormed upstairs. I heard shouting. Things breaking. Emma crying. And then silence. The next morning, she was gone. So was I, sent to live with an uncle in another city. Exiled from my own life. Emma vanished like a ghost. Changed numbers. Deleted social media. It was like she never existed. My heart cracked open every time I heard her name. Every time I smelled vanilla. I didn't sleep for weeks. Then one afternoon, months later, I saw her. In a supermarket. Pushing a cart. Her hair longer. A child beside her. Not mine, but still a symbol of everything we lost. She saw me. Our eyes met. Her lips trembled. But she didn't say anything. Just walked away. My body turned cold. The past has a cruel way of showing up when you're least ready. Weeks later, in an old laptop bag, I found a flash drive. No label. I opened it and found a recording, a voice note. It was Emma. Crying. She said she had been watched. That someone had installed a hidden camera. That she never meant to hurt me, that she loved me. Really loved me. That night, I broke down. Everything I had suppressed spilled out. I screamed. Cried. Punched walls. I wanted to die. But I didn't. Instead, I went silent. Months passed. I started writing. Not just stories, but memories. Pages filled with our nights, our fears, our whispers. I turned our tragedy into chapters. Pain into poetry. One day, years later, I ran into her again. A cafe this time. She was older. Softer. Alone. She saw the book I was writing. She smiled faintly. Still writing, she asked. I nodded. Still dreaming? I replied. We didn't hug, didn't cry. Just sat there, sipping coffee like two broken people trying to pretend they had never burned. She left before I did. On the table, she left a note, "You were never just a boy. You were my escape." That was the last time I saw her. I still have questions. Who recorded us? Why? Did she ever really love me? Was I a mistake? Or just the only place she could breathe for a while? Some nights, I dream of her. Of the nights we crossed boundaries. Of the silence that followed. But dreams are kinder than reality. In them, no one ever leaves. I tell you this not to shock you, not for sympathy. But because telling it is the only way I survived. We all carry stories that stain us. This was mine. If you're still listening, thank you. Maybe your pain is different. Maybe your betrayal came wrapped in a different face. But remember this, sometimes, the ones who break you the most are the ones who made you feel the most alive. I let go of Emma, but not the part of me that loved her. That part reminds me I'm still capable of feeling deeply. Even if it almost destroyed me. And if you're out there, listening, Emma, know this, I forgive you. But I never forgot. This is my story. And maybe, just maybe, it's yours too.